All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report. This is your Black Friday weekend edition for November 26, 2022. Hope everyone's having a fantastic extended weekend. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and hopefully you guys are doing really well. Boom. We are in kind of like that countdown mode. What do I mean by that? So like I have expressed, I would say probably it's been like 3 months. There is a certain time period where sales is just really through the roof, and now's kind of that time to kind of put things into perspective and to kind of roadmap a little bit of a timeline for you, because I've gauged the market every single year for about the last 15 years. So there are certain things that kind of follow this cyclical pattern, and it never changes. It doesn't matter where the market is. There's this period of time between right now, which is generally right directly after Thanksgiving, and going all the way up to about December 20th is when you're going to have that kind of like that meniscus, that sweet spot of where you can take full advantage of the holiday kind of like collecting season, or just the selling season in general. And that time is right now. So we have about a really good solid, just over 3 weeks worth of time, that if you guys were looking to make an impact and sell coins and do really well in the market right now before Christmas hits, now is the time to strike. So, December 20th. Why did I put that date out there? Well, that's typically the cutoff date where we begin to see a slowdown in the market leading up to the last few days before Christmas. Generally, folks like to kind of take it easy on that last 5 days before Christmas hits, and then things will begin to pick back up, but not until about the first of the year. So there's going to be a 2-week period thereabouts where things are going to slow down tremendously. So if you're looking to save some money, make some money, take advantage of the market, right now is the time to do that. I feel like a broken record saying it twice, but I'm kind of stressing the importance, kind of like that critical mass alarm, so to speak. So if you guys need to sell, you want to sell, you have the coins, go ahead and do it right now. The market is phenomenal. If you guys have never tuned in to any of my Pocket Change Market Reports, this is where we discuss all of the most relevant, ungraded errors and varieties that people have flipped on eBay. In this particular case, and this is how crazy it's been, I would say all of the data that you're going to see, which is about a good solid 30 plus coins, is about from the last 18 hours. That is how ridiculously busy it's been. And there are quite a few listings that are auction based. So that people have thrown these listings up for auction, where you actually put in physical bids, and the duration is like 5 to 7 days. We're seeing quite a bit more of that. And all of a sudden we're seeing it pop here this week. And I would say that's probably your best bet, just considering how active the market is right now, especially for any sort of legit error coin. It's the stuff that people know about. They're going to shell out some pretty big bucks to own these coins. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the activity. My next PCMR is going to be Wednesday, which what is that? The first of the month? Let me check real quick on my calendar here. But no, that is actually the 30th. So we do have one more PCMR for the month of November, and that's going to land on the 30th. And then the next one after that will be on the 3rd, which I will be doing. There will be a December 3rd PCMR. And then, of course, on Monday, December 5th, is going to be the big collaborative BlueRidgeSilverhound live coin Q&A channel giveaway that's going to be hosted on the live coin Q&A live stream on December 5th. So come join us. Save the date. It's going to be phenomenal. And it's my way of giving back to you guys. But yeah, we're going to see just a really active market between here and the next few weeks. So that's kind of like a little bit of a timeline. I figure I'd provide a few minutes to discuss that, so that way you guys are in the know. Kind of like last call, right? You're at the bar and it's like it's coming up to about 2 a.m. and the bartenders are starting to kind of clean things up and announce last call. This is kind of like last call for the busy time of the essentially roll hunting and cherry picking season of the coin market. And then once we get past beyond the first of the year, the focus changes to what the big auction houses are going to be doing. So between like the first of the month, that's going to go ahead and go all the way up to about the beginning of the summertime season, we're going to just see just continuously hammered out like high-grade, high-end coins that's going to be hosted by like heritage auctions. You're going to see the normal weekly great collections listings in addition to what's going to be coming out from some of the other ones like Stax Bowers and David Lawrence and a few others. All right, enough of that. We're already 6.5 minutes in. Let's go ahead and check out the suite of coins. It means a lot when we start out the show. Because I like to start out slow with like, $5, $10 fines, but there's not a whole lot of that this week. 1982 large date bronze Lincoln Memorial cent with a phenomenally large Cud die break. Again, Cuds are king in the marketplace today. People are paying more money for these because they are some of the most wildly attractive errors. How are these made? Well, it really comes down to the wear and tear of the dies. The dies themselves don't last forever, so after so many hundreds of thousands of strikes minting these Lincoln cents, there's going to be wear and tear, there's going to be stress cracks, eventually some of the pieces of the die are going to fall off, thereby creating what you see here. This is actually a raised blob of metal, which is actually the planchet. When the coins are struck and you have that void in the die, all the metal flow moves in there, all right, creating a large kind of in relief type of blob of metal, which is actually, again, the planchet. These things are wildly popular. This one ended up selling for $79.95, albeit it's not the cheapest cut I've seen. The cheapest ones I've seen sell for like $10 to $15. We actually have one of those on the list, and they're actually quite common. I'm not saying that this particular one is common at all. It's not, all right? But Cuds in general exist all throughout just every conceivable date, all the way up to 2022. So this is a prime opportunity to look for these. If you're looking to make or find coins that will net you a huge return, it's these ones right here. This is such a beautiful coin, by the way. We also have a lot of 3 Washington quarter off-center strikes. They're all pretty well off-center, anywhere on the minimum end, probably 80% and up. No readable dates except this one here. It's from a 1980s. Don't know if it's a P or a D mint. But this is a 3-coin lot. And typically, if you don't see the value in selling these individually, sell them in a lot. However, expect a much deeper discount because you're bulk selling these. Something to keep in mind. If you're going to sell lots, expect to sell them for a lot less than what they would normally go for. So these 3 coins right here are all in pretty nice shape. I would venture a guess that they're mint state in nature. The 3 here sold for $128.25. Is that worth it to buy? In the hopes that you could turn these around and flip them individually? It's pretty tough. I mean, I feel like that it's probably maxed out, at about $40+ per coin. Considering that they have no readable dates, and of course that's the hot button with these, is the readable dates with a mint mark are always going to command the biggest amount of money because there are date collectors for these things. So $128, kind of a tall ask. I tell folks and I remind them, hey, if you could come across a lot and it sells for cheap, buy it and then list each coin individually. It'll help supplement your listings. At the end of the day, you want to try and double up your money. I just don't see the 3 coins collectively, if you were going to relist these, sell for $260. That, again, that's a tall ask, but, you know, again, this is more of a lesson in if you have too much of one thing and they're all kind of like on the minor side, sell them in a lot, you know. All right, so our first piece of currency, we do have a couple of them on here. This one's quite minor, but if you take a look at it on a much deeper level, you'll begin to appreciate and understand what we have here. This is a 1969D $1 Federal Reserve note. It looks like it's like miscut, you know, which kind of does, but if you look at the overprint, which is like the serial numbers and district seals, you'll notice that it's a little bit off center. Could it be the first print that was misaligned on this sheet? Let's see the back. Yeah, take a look at that. Pretty well centered for the most part, showing some circulation wear. So based off of all the information that we see on both sides of the bill, that first initial front print was indeed misaligned. So the sheet was kind of fed, a little bit rotated during that process. Again, it's quite minor in retrospect, but look out for these. You can even find them on notes, much newer, going into the 2000s. This one sold for $18.10, people, with 11 bids. So, I mean, 18 times face, I'll take it all day long. That's not bad. All right, so I have a question about this one. It appears to be damaged, but at the same time, it could be just a shadow. All right, so this is the big Wilma Mankiller error quarter that you could find out there today. This one features the dual Cud or retained die break error on both sides. You have the first retained Cud right here, showing some of the struck in detail still on that die piece, but you also see the same thing on the reverse too, with this nearly bisecting crack that goes through that coin there. This is the one to look out for. Keep in mind there's a single-sided type with just that obverse Washington quarter Cud. And then you also have the dual event that you see here. Kind of tricky. This one you might be kind of rolling the dice on. Is this damage or is that just a shadow? I think it's a shadow. But again, this is where taking good quality photos that's not going to trick the eye is important. This one I feel like is probably an undersell at $425 with 12 bids. These have consistently sold for $500, $600, $700. Even right now, with a bunch of these out in the marketplace, which shows you how common and available they are to find. So look out for these. They're still being found in droves. I would say probably 3 or 4 of them are being sold per day, and most folks are listing these through traditional auction format. Now, this is a coin that we talked about on Wednesday, and there was a number of them that sold. Here's yet another one, 2022p. This is what they call the Smoking Tom nickel. As you can see, pretty nice, wild, long strike through here. They call this a field restricted strike through. What I like about this one, and this is the only one that I'm highlighting today on this particular episode, this one does not have the over-eye strike through, which we've seen on other different progression states. This one just has the Smoking Tom. This one looks like he probably has a sugar snap pea in his mouth than he does actual cigar smoke or something like that. But this is kind of like the smaller kind of progression, or maybe it's a later progression. I really don't know in this case, but I mean, $35. This is a great sale. Someone had mentioned on my previous video on Wednesday, my last PCMR, where I had like 5 or 6 of these highlighted in that report, that this was found back in September. So just to let you guys know, this is a little bit older circulation find. Not too wildly older, but this is one that you could find out there. Apparently they're coming out of the woodwork, so this might be a newer struck in example. Based off of the last, I guess, round of these nickels. They're coming up dangerously close. I think they're probably done maybe minting the new nickels for 2022. Of course, they mint these on demand based off of what the Fed Reserve needs, and again, fulfilling the needs of what consumers need for regular circulating coinage. There's a little bit of a close-up of the Sugar Snap P strike-through. Actually, it's the Smoking Tom. We're just going to leave it at that. This one's pretty cool. 1965 Washington quarter. Saw this end, and it's a nice little 10-15% off-center strike error. Pretty cool. Great date, by the way. First year of the copper nickel clad, although some people have different varying opinions on this compositional changeover transition type of affair. But pretty nice one. $103.89 was the final sale price on this. Good looking coin. Very, very minty. Now, this one is quite minor, but again, another one to look out for. So the last digit in the date is missing. But, if you put two and two together, your U.S. Mint errors. This is a little bit of a strike through. You can see this little ring right here of discoloration. If we look a little bit closer, you'll see that it is indeed a strike through grease error. Quite minor. This one ended up selling for $6.10. For some of you who are saying, man, that's not even worth selling. It's 610 times face value. I love saying that. It shuts people up really quick. Because, again, if you're an avid seller and you have a market for it and you have an eBay presence, you could just put in all of the cheap listings along with the expensive stuff. All of the profit goes into one bank. You have to look at it that way. If you step over continuously these $5 to $10 sales thinking that it's not worth it, you're not going to make money. Plus, you get also the much needed positive feedback that's going to help your seller status, and in turn make your fees cheaper doing that. So keep that in mind. Here's our next piece of currency, this time coming in the way of a 1974 series date, $1 bill. This is a dual error. So we have a misaligned print, as you can see there on the first print. You can see actually a sliver of the corresponding note on that sheet, but also a couple very thin gutter folds. So the sheet had a little wrinkle in it. And it was printed over. The gutter fold is quite minor, but it is there. But you guys see the overprint is well centered respective to the note, but that first print is misaligned. You also see the back as well. So yeah, probably a little bit of a miscut, a little bit of a misalignment, and then of course you got the gutter fold. There's multiple things going on here, but they're all quite minor in nature. $119 sale for this $1 bill. Candy half errors of any type, especially ones that look like this, are pursued. Everybody wants them. All of the big denomination large coin errors are quite scarce, and because of that, there's more demand for them. So we have a 1979 Candy half dollar struck off center, maybe by about 10%. I think probably this is more of a broad strike based off of what the seller had said. A broad strike is more appropriate of an error terminology for this one. You do have a little bit of a rim showing here, but it's awfully close. And uncentered broad strikes, again, on any big denomination coin is quite nice and very, very dramatic. This one, $186 sale price. This one was scooped up as a buy it now, I believe. So very, very well done. Nice minty fresh example as well. Here's our next off-center strike, this time in 1984 P. So we do have a fully featured date, which is good. On this Jefferson nickel, on the reverse, it is devoid of any sort of devices that is normally on the reverse. They call this a Uniface strike, which means there was another coin probably overlapped on it when it was struck off center, and that's why you have what you see here, fully detailed obverse with the date and then nothing on the back. So this one right here sold for $45. Again, a very nice addition to a date set that needs it, and not a date that you typically come across. So that justifies the elevated sale price on this one. And always look out through like dirt cheap, bulk, bargain basement type of lots of world coins, because you can find something like this 1981 Australian 50-cent piece with a strike through on the obverse there. Again, I mean, a coin that traditionally sells for pennies on the dollar here stateside, given its date and whatnot. This one is a quick little $5 sale. So there are desirability factors that come into play even for world coins like this. So don't overlook these. Always look at every world coin. There's various doubled dies as well that have some interest to folks that deal in this sort of thing. One of my favorites here, and this is a 1942/1 over date Merc dime. Of course, this is all over the place. Educationally, it's in the Red Book, it's online, it's on the Cherry Picker's Guide. It's everywhere. So this is a very familiar coin with a lot of folks that deal in typesets and varieties and the Mercury Dime series itself. The coin looks like it appears to have been cleaned at one point, just given its kind of like ho-hum, kind of like gray appearance to it. It has a few scratches here on Lady Liberty's neck area. But up close, man, I mean, you can't mistake this one for the world. See that 1/2 there on the end? Of course, you also have a doubled 4 as well. This is cool. I own a few of these myself. That are, pretty similar. Keep in mind that this coin is a net VF condition type coin, with the problems it has. You could pick up, this one, let's talk about price. This one sold for $465 with 10 bids. You could pick up a similarly graded by PCGS or NGC VF35 for the same amount of money. Make what you want out of this. This is a raw example. You could buy a clean graded one for about a similar amount of money. But these are always going to be valuable till the end of time. They are popular, and they're not particularly scarce. I will say that. Much like the Kennedy half dollar, here's another attractive coin, 1988p, off-center struck this time. I would say, as opposed to a uncentered broad strike, because you are losing some of the devices here on one side. About 10% off center in this case. The coin's in nice shape. It's got a little booger action over the R in Liberty, so that's, I guess, an extra added bonus for the buyer of this one. $24.49 with 5 bids was the final hammer on this one. Now here's our other. This is the cheapest Cud that you can buy out there today. This time on a 2005p West Virginia statehood quarter. The Cud is right here. These are very common. So if you're searching through quarters, there are some of you that have found these. I found a few myself. There are a number of different states which has these, like North Dakota, West Virginia, and a few others. So always look out for these. They're very common. They're not as rare as you think they are. This one is a $10.50 sale with 3 bids. So fantastic. I mean, that's not nothing for sure. Man, this thing was so close to being a really nice coin. So it's a 2000p Sacagawea dollar. It is a Wounded Eagle. All right, so it's one of the marquee varieties to look out for of this series. There isn't a whole lot aside of from the Cheerios dollar, which is non-existent out there. But this one has counter roll damage. So that crimper finger did a number on this one. You can see a little bit on the actual devices as well. But up close, go ahead and check out the die gouges. There is a pair of them, so there's a much longer one that goes through the breast feather area of the eagle, and a little bit shorter one here on the wing. These people are finding these left and right. They're not rare. I would probably guess maybe 100,000 of these were produced. That's just a little bit of a conversation, backroom talk with other collectors and people that know about this series. The first year of this new manganese alloy composition was a big deal. It separated itself from the Susan B. Anthony, which looked too much like a quarter. So the mint ramped up production of both the P and D mints of this coin. And when they produced examples with that set of die, or with the reverse die rather, with the die gouge, they made a ton of them. So there's a lot of these out there. This one sold for $103.92. It could have sold for a lot more if it didn't have the Circle of Doom, is what I call it. Most people call it Circle of Death. Counter roll damage, whatever. Always a good coin to find, and it's like surefire money in your pocket for every one that you do come across. This is a good looking note here, 1988 $1 bill. We have a very, very minor misalignment, so you can see the green seals slightly shifted to the right. Part of the letter P is overlapping the first design there. But what's cool, this is a web press note, a web note. So you see the plate number here is to the right of the word trust. On regular ones, they're down here to the bottom right of the 1. So that's the regular ones. Web press notes are created on a full sheet that comes off of a roll, kind of like a toilet paper, or printing newspapers. Newsprint on a roll is how it was done back in the day. And then the notes were cut somewhere along the process. So that was something they experimented on in the hopes of saving money, producing currency. They ended up just going back to the 32 note subject sheets, the 40 note subject sheets. This one sold for $20.55 with 6 bids. I think a lot of the value is in the web note aspect of it and not necessarily the misalignment. We have a 2-coin lot of laminations. These are nice, actually, except that the coins do have problems. Like this 1921 has a pretty gnarly gash right here on Lincoln's coat. But take a look at the reverse. Nice detached lamination that goes rim to rim. Probably many, many years ago, but it does feature a little damage on this one as well. The second coin on this lot is a 1931. This time with the lamination on the obverse, and it's attached still. So this one ended up selling for $34.90 for the pair. Keep in mind, a lot of the value with this one is the fact that they are earlier dates. And these, of course, are still being sold, or collected rather, by date, much like off-center strikes, much like broad strikes, and a few others. So, keep that in mind. You could always sell these individually, especially if they're like way older dates. There's more demand and desirability for those on a one-off kind of basis. Don't sell them. Try not to sell them in groups, because someone will have to, either bow out of trying to bid on them because they only needed 1 coin. But yeah, really cool lot right here. Nice little cherry pick. Oh my goodness. 1873 with the open 3 in date. Indian had said this thing has seen better days. But what hasn't is that just ginormous Cud die break on the back that goes from about K2 all the way down to K5. So this thing is a massive piece of the die that had fallen off at one point. Even on the lowest condition of coins, this one, you could argue that it's probably like an AG3, maybe even a fair 2. The reverse is too well struck, I think, to be a fair coin, but AG, I think, would be good. Full readable date, which is important. This one sold for $84.87 with 9 bids. Again, very, very cherry pickable. If you come across a dealer that just doesn't give a rat's what about these type of coins and they're looking to sell for $5, pay the $5 and get it, and then flip it for a really nice amount of margin. A little shout out to PVT on eBay. I'm actually digging the overall presentation of his photography with the candy striped frame on there. This is a 1934 Lincoln Wheat set with an improper alloy mix, aka woody wood grain surfacing. These are collected by date, and while the market isn't like super crazy on them right now, keep an eye out for them. I feel like that this is gonna boom sometime in the future for more of its artistic appeal than anything else. This one is an $8 sale with 11 bids. I'd say that's fair all day long. Here's the other Wilma Mankiller featured, and guys, photography. Do a full coin photography. Don't cut it like this one here, where you get like 90% of the coin. Make sure the whole coin's on there, because there's some information that's still missing. One of the most important pieces is this obverse cud, retained cud right here. There could be a nick, or a ding or somewhere on the edge that could possibly sway the auction. All right. You don't want this thing to get returned on you if you're selling it. Do the whole coin, obverse and reverse. It's going to do you a huge favor in the long run. So this one has a little bit earlier state crack on the reverse, which I think is really cool. It only manages to make it to the star. All right, so that's what that one looks like. $630 with 30 bids. Now that is much more like it. This is kind of like the full realized potential of this coin, not the $425 that the previous one sold at the beginning of our show. Canadian Errors, always cool, very, very desired. 1968, one penny. This one's off center by about 15%. Really cool, good looking piece with very few problems, if any, on it. And this one is a $32.90 sale with 16 bids. 1994 Lincoln Memorial Cent, off center. This time I would say by about 55%. Copper coated zinc-in era of coin. Very nice with a full date. And this one sold for $19.49 with 2 bids. Again, more than likely heading to a date set. We got another Crown die chip. Haven't talked about one of these in probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks. But sure enough, one did sell. 2021P this time around. This one has kind of like that medium progression look of the Crown right here. Not the biggest featured one. However, still a good sale at $55.60. The full kind of like later progressed Crown-sized die chip sells for around $80 to $100. So again, another good one to look out for if you're trying to find a Wilma Mankiller, or some of those doubled earring Maya Angelou's. Also look out for this, and the Tuskegee Airman Strike Through as well. One of my favorites. This might be my favorite coin of the week. 1949 D over D repunch mint mark on this Lincoln Wheat set. Really good looking coin. And this is, of course, a Cherry Picker's Guide variety. It's RPM number 001. It is FS 501 for a Cherry Picker's Guide attribution number. And there you go. So your secondary Denver mint mark is punched northeast of the primary. You can see that puppy sticking out right there. Really nice. Good looking coin. This is one that you don't see come across the auction block in mint state red. And that's probably the big reason why this one sold for $78.58 with 13 bids. So a really good congrats to the seller and the buyer. This is a big one. Another good one here. It's a decent looking example too. I would say it's honest and it'll straight grade if you want it sent to, like Annex or NGC. 1999 Lincoln Memorial set that features the wide AM reverse. A little bit of a close up. Pretty nice gap there between the A and M. In America, this is the rarest of the 3 dates from 1998 to 2000. Even in this condition, which I would say is probably like maybe XF45, maybe an AU50 depending on who you get. This one is a $55.60 sale. So still a very high in demand variety, especially problem-free condition. This one's not problem-free. The seller made it known that this puppy was damaged. It's got all sorts of punch damage on the obverse and the reverse. 1857 Flying Eagle set. You probably could have picked this one up for $10-15 as a type piece that is just going to be a hole filler. But if you look at the reverse, nice size Cud right there at the 10 o'clock position of the coin. And again, Indian head cents and Flying Eagles have all sorts of neat terminal states to them. So always flip the coins over, look at them, oh, sorry, that's my dogs. Jeez. Always consider every grade type because they're all valuable regardless of grade. You guys see that 1873 earlier in the show? Yeah, a little bit of a word to the wise there. $36.79 was the final sale price, and that's with 8 bids on this one. I believe this might be our last piece of currency. Actually, no, I lied. We have one more after this. So this is a 1995 $1 bill with a partial back-to-front wet ink transfer. You can see that right here. Consider this the paper equivalent to a clash die on a coin. So there was a little bit of ink on the impression cylinder. So when the next sheet was fed in there, that ink transferred to the one corresponding side that's face down on there. Pretty neat. It's minor in some regards because it's just like maybe 20% partial on here. This one sold for $62.60 with 22 bids. There's a little bit of a reverse pick showing very light circulation wear. It does have a middle fold. So this is probably kind of like an XF condition type note. Oh, there you go. Burning Building on a 2021P Tuskegee Airman quarter. Always a favorite. Even 12 months later, still a very solid seller. Not quite what it was, but you can always count on one of these to make you a few dollars. Photographed in a 2x2, the seller did have a few basic kind of weird close-ups. The best one was, of course, probably the tiniest strike-through event I've ever seen on one of these. This is like a small stage burn, in one of the offices of that building. You can see the feeder finger scrapes. This is, of course, a field-restricted strike-through, as its terminology suggests. The feeder finger pushes around the little bit of grease on that end there. And this one sold for $29.25. Consider this the more minor type of this error. Here's a pretty nice, this is a very attractive 5-coin lot of 2,000 Lincoln Memorial cents, are all off-center. So it looks like these were all found in maybe a mint-sewn Fed Reserve bag at one point. That's generally where you're going to find these. And the fact that this same seller has 5 of them and they're all in really nice shape probably kind of supports the fact that he or she did go through a bank bag. Probably looking for like wide AMs and things of that nature. I don't see any wide AMs, but they all have varying degrees of off-center struck type of appearance to them. Coins are all in really nice shape, but keep in mind with these off-center struck zinc-ins, you will get the exposed zinc in certain areas. This 5-coin lot sold for $80.75 with 23 bids. Beware that this is probably not a flippable lot at that amount of money. I've seen these similar lots about a week or two ago sell for as low as $45-50. So even then, at $10 per coin, it's kind of, again, not saying it's impossible to double up your money, but yeah, the opportunity is very, very thin. Very beautiful coin, 1813 cap bust half dollar. One of my favorite designs, one of my favorite series in general. I have a few of these. I need to get more. I need more of it because I'm a coin addict. I am. What's cool is this one is a clash die. It has really, really strong clashing. Check out E Pluribus Unum clashed onto the obverse die there on that ribbon. This is actually Overton number 110. The seller did put a screenshot of the page of the book in their listing, which I think is absolutely wise decision to do, to help sell the coin. $184.26 was the final sale price on this one. Here, okay, this is finally the last note or piece of currency. 2013 $1 bill. Serial number has a lot of 8s in them. 6 of them to be exact. It's not a full-on fancy, but the number 8 is one of the most luckiest in certain cultures. Chinese cultures love the number 8. As a matter of fact, the last few I've had were purchased overseas. So, yeah, pretty cool. Again, the more 7s, the more 8s in the serial number, it's really going to, jack up the price of your note. So this one right here ended up, even in this condition, sold for $23.95. So, yeah, this thing is, it's not quite a beater, but yeah, it's not the most attractive looking note either. So again, either someone that loves the number 8, or people see this as a really good was it liar's poker type of note. So pretty cool. Look out for these. Anything I would say with like 5 8s or higher, or 7s, you're going to be in really good shape. If they're all in a row, that's even better. Oh boy, another Cud, right? 1940 Lincoln wheat cent. Yeah, a little bit of a Cud. Small little cute thing right there. You also have the corresponding weakness in that same area on the reverse. Always something to be on the lookout for. That's kind of helpful in determining if it is a legit Cud die break. Not the greatest looking example, but hey, it's one that is early enough that it's interesting to some collectors. $28.59 with 4 bids was the final sale price on this auction. And then finally, I'm happy to talk about this one. This is the final coin of the week, 1968D Lincoln Memorial cent. What do you make about this? Huh? You can see there's a few scratches on the coin, so there is that. It's not the most perfect example. It has a few carbon spots, but I think what really captivated a lot of people's attention on this is that wild strike through on the obverse. Think of it as, maybe a bunched up, amount of thread or string or something to that effect. Or someone's dental floss, on that morning. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing out a little bit of speculation as to what kind of like fibrous type of material was on that die when this puppy was struck. And you never know. Even this coin might have little remnants of fibers, which we've seen before on these strike-throughs. So, there might be a little bit on there. I guess upon closer examination, there might be a thread or two. But really cool coin. Struck through cloth, struck through, various elements and, all that stuff. They're all neat, and when they get pretty wild like this, they command a little bit more attention than the normal. So this one ended up selling for $34.60 with 12 bids. Maybe I might be the only one that kind of thought that this one should have shot up to $50-$60. I don't know. Maybe the a little bit of a couple scrapes on there might have had something to do with the suppressed final dollar figure, but it is what it is. It's just a really cool looking coin. All right, that's gonna go ahead and do it. It's time for you guys to hit the streets. Go to every bank, just flip over every rock, look for change, look for coins. Go to the casino, get some rolls there. Go to Walmart, get rolls there every chance you get. Don't be too greedy with those other places. Ask for maybe 3, 4, 5 rolls. It's just be a little bit more mindful of how you obtain these because you're trying to make the relationship happen and develop trust for them to give you these roles. They don't have to give it to you considering the time of year and the holidays, because there are people that are going to be spending coin. They're going to be spending cash. Cash is back, baby. There's more demand for cash today than there was 6 months ago, right? Rates have gone up. Inflation is through the roof on certain things. Cash is back, and people are not afraid to spend it. So that's going to wrap it up. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Love you guys. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. You guys take care. Be safe. Be healthy. Love, share, subscribe. Follow me on TikTok as well. I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully, real soon.